So as I said in the last video, the Clone Wars movie wasn't very well received, and understandably so. People hated it so much that when the TV series started, they wouldn't even give it a chance. It's a shame because I think they missed out. Clone Wars the series ran on Cartoon Network from 2008 to 2013. It had 5 seasons, but there was actually a 6th season that originally aired in Germany, but later showed up on Netflix and eventually found its way to DVD and Blu-ray in 2014. This brings the total number of episodes to 121, officially making it the longest series I've reviewed so far. It's also the main reason why this video took so long to make. Yeah. Clone Wars was an opportunity for the casual Star Wars fan to truly experience the Star Wars universe. In addition to seeing events that took place between episodes 2 and 3, we got to see fantastic new worlds and a huge cast of new characters along with a few familiar faces like Tarkin, Chewbacca, who seriously does not age, and Greedo, who speaks English here for some reason.
They must have found some evidence. We'll have to settle things more permanently.
I don't like that he speaks English. And depending on how well you know your background characters, you might even spot a few others.
Hey, boss, who's your girlfriend?
Shut up, Dengar.
I don't know why, but that makes me laugh.
Shut up, Dengar.
Shut up, Dengar! Sick of your shenanigans. Oh, and by the way, that was Simon Pegg voicing Dengar. One of the many guest voices you'll hear throughout the series. Some of which will make you nerd out like you won't even believe. Like this one.
Today is a grand day for the Separatist cause. We test a new weapon of my own design.
Yup, that was George Takei, who played Sulu on Star Trek. Now he's the voice of a Star Wars character. Oh, and does this guy sound familiar?
Call me what you want, but inside my memory banks, I contain a record of every lightsaber ever made, and the Jedi who fashioned them.
That's David Tennant. Yup, Doctor Who is in Star Wars. Barbara Goodson, the voice of Rita Repulsa from Power Rangers, voices Mother Talzin, a witch who manipulates people. So basically she's the same character, just played straight and less shrieky.
The only reason I am aiding in your search for a new assassin is because long ago, you chose to help me.
Unfortunately, Christopher Lee and Samuel L. Jackson didn't return for the series, but some other actors from the movies returned to reprise their roles, like Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn.
This planet is both an amplifier and a magnet. 3 are here who seek Skywalker. They, like me, believe him to be the chosen one.
And they even got Daniel Logan, the boy who played Boba Fett, to do his voice.
We'll get someone there soon. What?
What are you doing? We're brothers! Don't shoot!
You're not my brother.
Now, for most of the series, Palpatine was voiced by Ian Abercrombie.
You should know that the Republic does not take kindly to such threats. If you have attempted such a foolhardy action as to kidnap a senator, I assure you that it will be met with appropriate force.
Unfortunately, he passed away during production. He did an amazing job, but when they needed a replacement voice for one of the best movie villains ever, they called Tim Curry.
Master Shakti, it is good to see you again. I trust you've kept this matter extremely confidential.
Oh, but here's the best one. In the final story arc of the series, Yoda goes on a quest to learn how to become a Force ghost after he dies. His quest brings him to the tomb of Darth Bane. You'll never believe who voices him.
The Sith killed each other, victims of their own greed. But from the ashes of destruction, I was the last survivor. I chose to pass my knowledge on to only one. I created a legacy so resilient that now you come before me.
That was Mark Hamill. Luke Skywalker himself. It always amazed me that Mark Hamill got his start playing one of the greatest heroes in fiction and then went on to do almost exclusively villain roles. Now he's back in the series that made him famous as a villain. I don't even know what to call that. The irony just astounds me. And once again, we get to see all those Jedi who were just background characters in the movies actually do stuff. In fact, they were really cool and had likable personalities. Thankfully, we saw many of them frequently, like Luminara and Aayla Secura. Though there were a few that we needed to see a lot more of.
Hey, Commander, looking good? Kenobi, you look worse for wear. How's temple life?
Good to see you too.
Yes, well, if you could tell time half as well as you could stick a landing, we wouldn't be behind schedule now, would we?
Well, that's your opinion, man.
My favorite one by far is this guy, Jedi Master Platoon. He may not be much to look at, but in addition to being a great pilot, he can do something I don't think I've seen any other Star Wars character do.
It is time to go.
Go? Where are you going, sir?
Outside, to destroy the enemy. I can withstand the pressure for a brief time. Put your helmet on.
That's right, he can survive in the vacuum of space. Let's see Luke Skywalker do that. And of course, there's Ahsoka. I'll admit in my review of Clone Wars I might have been a bit harsh, but my opinion still stands. I still feel she was an unnecessary addition and a cheap attempt to get kids to watch when they didn't need to do that. However, I did find myself liking her a lot more in the TV series. I figured out what the main problem with her was, and it was so simple I'm amazed nobody thought to fix it in production. It seems the times I liked her most was when she was with someone other than Anakin. If Ahsoka was intended to be the character the audience is supposed to identify with, then making her similar to Anakin was a huge mistake. What they should have done was make her his opposite. She should have been awkward, unconfident, and doubtful of her own potential. She should have been looking up to Anakin, but instead they made her too much like him and they were constantly competing with each other. When you have two characters that have similar personality traits, they'll clash too much and it won't leave much room for development. That's why it seemed better to see her with someone else, because it felt like she was learning something. And if she learns something, then the viewer is gonna learn something. But like I said, she does get better. We even get to see her grow up a little, and in Season 5, she mentors a group of younglings. Though I still question the outfit they gave her. Like that shirt with the hole in it, that serves only one purpose. Again, real classy. On the dark side, we get to see the return of General Grievous. Though nowhere near as awesome as he was in the miniseries, he was better than he was in Revenge of the Sith. There was an episode where we get to see the inside of his home and they touch on his backstory a bit. They don't reveal a lot, but the way this episode presents Grievous as a character is very well done.
Sometimes I wonder why you submitted to the changes.
Improvements! I submit to no one! I chose them!
Then there's Asajj Ventress, Count Dooku's apprentice and assassin for the Separatists. Why was I turned on by that? She has one of the most interesting journeys in the series. She has many heated battles with the Jedi, but it gets to the point where Darth Sidious feels she's become too powerful and orders Dooku to eliminate her. She manages to survive and retreats to her homeworld, but eventually the Separatists get there and basically wipe out everyone, leaving Ventress destitute and unsure where to go. She ends up restarting her new life as a bounty hunter, and there were even a few times where she ends up helping some of her former enemies. We even get a glimpse into her past. She actually started out as a Jedi Padawan, but when her master was killed, she lost her way, and that's how she turned to the dark side. Then we watch her lose everything again and eventually find a new life while leaving her past behind her. Of all the characters in this show, she's by far one of the most developed. And I think that's one of the strengths of this show. It's very character-driven. Not only are the main and recurring characters memorable, but there were a lot of one-shot characters that still managed to leave an impression. A lot of them could have gotten their own story arcs, but sadly many were limited to one episode. Because why would we want to see something interesting when we can have C-3PO and R2-D2 reenact Gulliver's Travels and the Wizard of Oz? Who the hell wants to watch the adventures of C-3PO and R2-D2? That sounds stupid. What, is Jar Jar Binks gonna show up next? No! No! No!
Hello! Let me sit through. Missa on a diplomatic mission. Senator Organa! It's a pleasure to be seeing you, sir.
Oh, god damn it, I said his name! Yeah, he's in this too. The character's so universally hated that his role in the second 2 prequel movies was significantly reduced. And yet for some reason, here he is in the Clone Wars TV series. And he doesn't just show up once. He's largely involved in at least one storyline in every season. Because there's nothing else I'd rather be seeing than this moron bumble his way out of danger. Especially when they tease us with the possibility of him being killed when we know that's not possible.
Watch out! I can't bear to watch.
Jar Jar! Oh no, Jar Jar's been killed.
Oh no, he might be dead. Weird that this is the exact same reaction I'd have if it were true. And as if things couldn't get any more surreal and infuriating, in Season 6, they establish a romance for him.
It's been a long time, my love. Come. Meditate with me, so our minds may be as one.
What? I don't even know. I have so many questions, and I don't think I want any of them answered.
If you're looking for a friend of the Bardatans, look no further than Representative Binks. The Queen has been alone with him for quite some time now.
I don't want to know what they're doing. Although, this story arc did give us one good thing.
No! Let Missa go! Let Missa go!
I can watch that all day. Show it again. Show it 3 more times. It's the little things that make me happy. Okay, how about we look at some new characters? In Season 2, we get introduced to Cad Bane, a badass new bounty hunter whose design was inspired by the good, the bad, and the ugly. Fun fact, his role was originally supposed to be given to Dirge from the miniseries. It's a shame he didn't show up again, though with the limits of this CGI, I doubt he'd be as awesome as he was here. Cad Bane's first mission is to spring Zero the Hutt from jail. Oh good, everyone's favorite character from the movie. Then we find out he had a fling with Cy Snoodles. Remember that chicken frog singer lady from Return of the Jedi?
I only care about us being together forever.
You really mean that?
From the bottom of my fluid sac.
Do you remember how I reacted to Jar Jar and that Queen lady? This is somehow worse. We get to see more members of Darth Maul's race, and one is chosen to be the Separatist's new assassin. He's already the strongest from his tribe, but then they bulk him up into an unstoppable monster. The Republic has an army, while the Separatists have a Hulk! Oh, and it's Mother Talzin who beefs him up, which means I get to do this. He's also voiced by one of my favorite voice actors, Clancy Brown.
Is it finished?
Yes. The temple has been taken.
And the Jedi?
Dead.
I do have a few problems with him. Like his name. Savage Opress. Savage Opress. Really? That's what we're going with? This is the kind of thing Futurama makes fun of.
I am Darth Stroyer.
Darth Stroyer? That's the stupidest name I've ever heard.
Also, his story arc leads to one of the biggest problems I have with the series. The return of Darth Maul. Yeah, remember how in Phantom Menace he was sliced in half by Obi-Wan and fell down a pit? Well, he survived that. How? Never explained! But hey, he's got a cool new pair of robot legs now. I could probably buy him surviving getting cut in half, but he fell down a giant pit. What's the deal with Star Wars characters inexplicably surviving giant falls? He swore revenge on Obi-Wan, which made sense, but then he gets sidetracked and becomes a crime lord, which doesn't seem right to me. Also, his story doesn't really get any closure, at least not in the show. This all felt like just a big waste of time. By far, my favorite of the new characters is Hondo, a Weequayan space pirate voiced by Jim Cummings. Jim Cummings voicing a charismatic space pirate. Yes, please.
Look at them. How powerful can they be? They are running away from Kenobi.
Filth. You will pay for your insolence.
Insolence! We are pirates. We don't even know what that means. Open fire.
I love this guy. Every time he shows up, he just steals the show.
Everything you own is now property of the Separatist Alliance.
Now you go too far. Unacceptable. This is an outrage. Hold on, we can make a deal with this. This is not good business.
The best part is that he's not just a one-shot character. We see him quite a bit throughout the series.
3 of your lieutenants have already sworn allegiance to me.
Traitors. Scum. I'm so proud. But so betrayed.
I guess the one problem is his motives are a bit confusing. Like, one time he's helping the Jedi, and next he's not. Who cares? He's awesome.
And let me see. Oh, the cost of the fuel. I had to use a lot of fuel. The general wear and tear on my men and equipment. A couple of them died, I think. Believe me, Kenobi, staging a rescue is not an inexpensive proposition.
So you mean to tell me you were staging a rescue, not attempting to hijack a Jedi starship?
You're welcome! Oh, the thanklessness! What an accusation! I am gone. I will send you my bill.
But let's be honest, the real stars of this show are the clones. Like I said in the movie review, D. Bradley Baker voiced all of them, and he does an amazing job because every clone is unique and he had to do subtle versions of what is essentially the same character. They aren't just faceless soldiers, they have names, distinct personalities, and subtly distinguished looks. If you line up all the main clones in the series, no two would look the same. We get to see all different kinds of them too, young and old. There's one clone that turns traitor.
I bet you sold out your brothers for some real shiny coin, huh? Yes, she offered me money. But she offered me something more important. Something you wouldn't understand. Freedom!
One discovered on a remote planet with amnesia.
All this time you knew who I was and didn't tell me? Why?
I don't care who you were. You're dishwasher now. And you owe me for saving you from your crash. Your life is mine, Gregor.
You didn't save me. You turned me into a slave. I've worked in this dump taking orders from you when I could have been fighting for the Republic.
And one who actually deserted the war to seek a better life.
Yes, well, you and I may be clones, but we're still individuals. You have a name rather than a number, Captain. Why is that? Perhaps our leaders feel it's a more efficient way of distinguishing us. More efficient than a number? I doubt the Kaminoans think that way. Still, a name has to make you feel unique. Especially in an army where everyone looks like you and talks like you. Actually, I've never really thought about it. Yes, you have. Well, how would you know? Because I am as close to you as any life form can be.
Some we follow through the series. Rex and Cody are the two main clones and are usually the commanders of some of the missions. But there are other recurring characters as well. And given all that, it's actually kind of upsetting to watch one of them get killed, because we get to know them and see the brotherhood they have. They aren't just faceless cannon fodder. They're effective soldiers as well, which makes them the complete opposite of stormtroopers. Which makes me wonder why the hell the Empire stopped using the clones. Maybe these guys wouldn't have worked out, but couldn't they have just brewed up a new batch of troops so they can at least have soldiers that shoot straight? One of the things I really like is that the clones consider themselves expendable, but their lives still have value to others, like the Jedi.
Sergeant, why are you so certain no one is coming?
We're just clones, sir. We're meant to be expendable.
Not to me.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Where does Order 66 fit in? Well, they actually cover that in the first story arc of Season 6. During battle, one of the clones snaps and kills a Jedi. When he's examined, one of the other clones we follow through the series, named Fives, discovers an inhibitor chip was implanted in the brains of all the clones, and the chip in the clone who snaps malfunctioned. This leads him to frantically and ultimately futilely trying to unravel a conspiracy. I don't want to spoil anymore, but this is one of the most disturbing story arcs in the series, because it's also revealed that Order 66 doesn't just end badly for the Jedi, it also ends badly for the clones.
What mission? You know the one. The mission. The one in our dreams that never ends. The one in our dreams. Oh, brother. This is the end. Forget the mission. Oh, the nightmare. I'm free. No. I thought I saved him.
Speaking of disturbing, there was also a lot of death in this show. I guess it would make sense since this is a show about a war, but I'm shocked at how much of this actually got to air on Cartoon Network. There wasn't anything particularly gruesome, but they definitely didn't sugarcoat it.
Who will strike first and brand themselves a cold-blooded killer?
Anakin. What? He was gonna blow up the ship.
Oh, damn! So here's a few other problems I had with this show. There's, of course, the character designs, which were based on the 2D designs from the miniseries. They're still all blocky and with dark patches that are supposed to be shadows, but it just looks like dirt all over their faces. They did seem to try and improve it a bit. Shaak Ti shows up later on and she has a much more realistic design, far from how she looked in the miniseries. There was also a lighting issue. The show used a lot of dynamic shadows to create a gritty setting, and it also helped to hide some of the character imperfections, but a lot of times they went a little overboard with it. And of course, this suffers from the inherent problem all prequels do. We know how a lot of this plays out, so seeing a character in grave danger that we know lives on in future installments of Star Wars is not very effective. Probably the biggest issue was continuity. For some reason, seasons 1, 2, and 3 were chronologically interlaced, so the episodes were played out of order. I was surprised to discover that chronologically, the movie wasn't even the beginning of the series. For the most part, it wasn't noticeable, but it did cause some confusion. In Season 1, we meet a bunch of clones. Then in Season 3, we see them as cadets training to be soldiers. Then in the episode following that, they return to the training academy, and this takes place after the episode where we first meet them in Season 1. This made storylines hard to follow, especially when the episodes aired weekly, and it made it hard marathoning the series without a cheat sheet. Luckily, Seasons 4, 5, and 6 were straightforward. Another issue was all the political and economical talk, though it wasn't as excruciatingly boring as it was in the prequel movies. They at least managed to keep it interesting by building tension, but they usually involved some kind of whodunit storyline, which was very overused in the series. Something will happen and then, oh no, betrayal, because reasons. It got very boring and predictable after a while. Though a few of the political storylines were about young leaders that had to learn to step up. One of my favorite episodes was about a shy young senator named Rio Chuchi from a planet called Pantora. Wait, blue people from a planet called Pantora? You know what? I'm just gonna let it go. Anyway, it's about her restoring peace after the warmongering chairman of their planet declared war against a group of innocent natives.
Senator, now that you have the authority, how do you plan on making peace with the Tals?
Actually, Master Jedi, since you are far more experienced, I was hoping you could negotiate on Pantora's behalf.
I'm afraid that's not possible, Senator.
But I don't understand. The Jedi serve the Senate. I must order you to...
Senator, it is your people the Tals are at war with. If the violence is to stop, it is you who must represent your people.
Great development for a character we just met. Huh, imagine that. She was in one other episode, but I wish we got to see her more. She was another of my favorite characters. Okay, so there were a lot of story arcs in this show. Many were good, some dragged on for far too long, and a few weren't so great. Stupid monkey people. It would take far too long to go through all of my favorites, so here's just a few that stood out. In Season 3, we visit Mandalore, and after a long history of violence, the Duchess Satine brought peace to the planet. Or so she thinks. Throughout Seasons 3 through 5, despite the Duchess's efforts, a lot of corruption spreads, and a terrorist group runs rampant, which causes the planet to spiral into violent chaos, and it all caps off with a pretty tragic end that I won't spoil. We also learned that the Duchess and Obi-Wan had a romantic history, but he walked away from it because of his Jedi code.
I'm still not sure about the beard.
Why? What's wrong with it?
It hides too much of your handsome face.
What was that all about? A very remarkable woman.
She is indeed.
Obi-Wan, you damn fool. So when Ahsoka was introduced, there was a lot of speculation on what her future was, especially considering how Anakin turns out. Well, in the final story arc of Season 5, she's wrongly accused of murder, and due to political bullcrap, the Jedi Council is forced to banish her from the Order. The following episodes had her on the run from capture while trying to figure out who framed her. Again, it's another whodunit plot device, and honestly, the big reveal seemed kind of forced and came out of nowhere. It ends with the Council offering Ahsoka a place back in the Order, but she justifiably refuses and goes off with a pretty emotional scene where her and Anakin part ways. Finally, here's one that I'm a bit conflicted with. In Season 3, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka discover a hidden planet called Mortis, where 3 powerful Force users reside. One represents the light side, one represents the dark side, and their father, who maintains the balance between them. There's a lot of great symbolism in these episodes, and it brings back a much-needed mystical element to the Force, but honestly, I'm not sure how to feel about this overall. Perhaps putting faces on the 2 sides of the Force wasn't a good idea. I feel like the Force works better as an abstract concept. The story arc ends tragically, of course, and the planet becomes lost. Because of this, the balance of the Force got tipped, and it did seem like things got a lot worse in the rest of the series, like some Jedi turning traitor, and Anakin seemed to get more angry and aggressive. I thought that was a nice attention to detail. I think I've gone on long enough about Clone Wars. Honestly, barring the movie and maybe the episodes with Jar Jar... you know who, I still really like it. In fact, a lot of it seemed a lot better than I remember. If you were one of those people who dismissed this because of the prequel movies, I'd say give it a chance. Before we go, I want to say a few quick thoughts on the successor series to Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels, the first thing to come out after Disney acquired Star Wars. As of this video, Season 2 has yet to premiere, but I have to say, I'm very impressed by it so far. And yes, I know characters from Clone Wars are going to show up in the new season, but I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. It's far enough away from the main storyline to do its own thing, but occasionally it'll become part of it. It's about a ragtag group of rebels fighting the oppression of the Empire. They're led by a surviving Jedi named Kanan, who trains a young Jedi prodigy named Ezra. So it kind of brings Star Wars back to its roots. The story of a young hero's journey. It's also nice to see a Jedi with a lot of very human flaws. I think we've seen Jedi as unkillable super soldiers for too long. I love everything about this show. It looks great, the characters are memorable, there's a lot of great voice acting. And is that Kath Sose as a villain?
Citizens, I present you with the latest vessel from Lothal's Imperial shipyards, the Sinar Systems Advanced TIE Starfighter. And who better to take this beauty on her maiden voyage than one of the best Imperial pilots on Lothal, Baron Valen Rudor.
Even when she's evil, she's still adorable. Oh, and is it me, or does Obi-Wan's message in the premiere sound like it's directed at Star Wars fans?
This message is a warning and a reminder for any surviving Jedi. Trust in the Force. Do not return to the temple. That time has passed, and our future is uncertain. We will each be challenged. Our trust, our faith, our friendships. But we must persevere, and in time, a new hope will emerge. May the Force be with you, always.
When I started this, I was hard on Disney for the new Star Wars movies, but if this is a sign of things to come, then I'll welcome it. With cautious optimism. Well, that finally concludes my Clone Wars review trilogy. Oh, but we're not done with Star Wars just yet. For you see, if Star Wars has taught us anything, it's that for every good trilogy, there's also a bad trilogy.
Let's hear the rest.
Darth Trocious.
Darth Sploder.
Darth Erderer.
Darth Ithead.